Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bunbury City Kart Club for the Coastal Classic 2021, also serving as the third round of the West Australian KZ Series and the West Australian KA2 Championship. We get stuck into things. We're in the back end of qualifying at the moment. A lot of our classes have already run and done, but we got 3 more qualifying sessions to come at you here from Bunbury as we go live online. Thanks to 4-Star Media for the West Australian KZ Series. We have a whopping 38 drivers lining up this weekend to battle it out in KZ2 as a recovery vehicle just making its way out on track to pick things up. My name's Chris Mitchell. I'm your host for the weekend, and what can I say? It's a thrill to be back around West Australian karting and back in the KZ Series. Unfortunately, missing the first 2 rounds due to other commitments, but I'm stoked to be back, and thank you so much for having me and welcoming me into your racing lives and into your pits, and if you're watching live online, joining in at home, into your living rooms as well and on your mobile devices. We're at Bunbury City Kart Club, just near the Bunbury City Speedway, between the motocross track, the speedway and the airport, all joined out here in the great southern region of Western Australia. What a fantastic facility and a great track for some racing this weekend as we have some recovery of Craig Ryan's 125 restricted Masters chassis getting pulled off the racetrack at the moment. It's an overcast day. Some cool weather coming at you means the track won't really drop off too much. So we're excited to see the conditions vary as the track rubbers in. The grip comes up as we had some light rain yesterday that washed a lot of the traction off the circuit. It was pretty green for practice for a lot of drivers yesterday, but the track started to rubber up as they continued on into the afternoon and under lights last night to practice. We are running all day today. It is going to be a mammoth day. This is your race order. KA3 Senior Light kicking us off for qualifying this morning, followed by Cadet 9, KA3 Junior, Restricted Light and Medium in a combined class that sees them running on separate grids in the same race from Cadet 12, 125 Light, KA4 Junior, 125 Restricted Masters just wrapping up their qualifying as we are now joined on track. And it looks like KA2 coming out to get us started here as they get underway for their 6-minute qualifying. This is a 12-kart field. I think we have 11 here this weekend, or 12 in order. We'll pick them up as they come across. And coming into the third round of the championship, KA2 being led by Noah Lyle. For our 12-kart field joining us this weekend, he's going to be the young man that everyone's keeping an eye on here at Bunbury City Kart Club. From second in the championship, Jack Webster, the 93 Energy Course kart, sitting second coming into this round from James McCucci Allen. Rocking the BRM kart for Jason Priolo's team, rocking third coming into this round. A noticeable absence this weekend of Joshua Byrne. Not in attendance. He was running 10th in points coming into the round, but we do not see the Byrne family in attendance this weekend here at Bunbury City Kart Club. As this is your full standings coming into it, Lyle on 163 points, just 3 points clear of Webster coming into the third round from McCucci Allen in third, another 2 points further back. Then Rhodes and Stefanovic, fourth and fifth in the points from Sebastian Guest, Gab Balenka, Aiden Deckers, Robert West and Joshua Byrne, your top 10 coming into the third round of the West Australian KA2 Series. As we get started, the first couple of flying laps coming at us here. Jack Parham goes to the top of the timesheets early on here. Bree Rhodes going second from Dylan Guest in third. Still early days to get these points lined up. To get the tyres warmed up and get underway with some flying laps. Catch them as they come down the line. Alex Stefanovic flying through turn 1 to set a flying lap. The 22 OJG engineering machine. He went pole for a second, but Gabriel Balanka now denies him. Jack Webster goes to second. He gets dropped by James McCucci Allen. Bree Rhodes in third. Deckers in 4. Webster 5. From Sebastian and Dylan Guest, 6 and 7. The brothers running together in the field here. Jack Parham down in 8. From Kayulo, Stefanovic, Lyle and West. Early days in the session just yet. We're a minute 40 down with 4 minutes 20 to go in qualifying for KA2. Huge amount of horsepower on offer for these KA2 drivers on a relatively hard tyre, meaning staying smooth and maximising your corner speed is absolutely crucial to keep things going in this class, especially at a circuit like this here at Bunbury City Kart Club, running in the long track with the peak at the end of the straight in clockwise formation. We ran anti-clockwise when we came here for the Gold Star Series a couple of months ago here in Bunbury. We ran the anti-clockwise direction using the sweeper at the top of the hill. This direction and this layout a little bit more favoured by the drivers coming into the weekend. They're excited for some better racing to come out. Well, a thrilling qualifying session from your KA2 drivers, the juniors getting it done. And Noah Lyle, your championship leader, coming into round 3, claiming pole at the death knock of the session for our 12 drivers in contention for the KA2 Championship this weekend. The new class coming to West Australian karting in the back end of last year at Open Events. Slated as a professional category for West Aussies to get involved in and try and take on some top flight racing here in WA. This is your point standings coming into the round. We went over these just before qualifying. Noah Lyle, your championship leader, who just claimed pole position from Webster in second, Mikuchi Allen in third, Bree Rhodes in the 4, and Alex Stefanovic rounding out your top 5 on points. From Sebastian Guest, Gabe Palenka, Aiden Deckers, Robert West, and Joshua Byrne, the notable absence from this weekend's contention, coming into this round in 10th, and will surely fall a little bit further behind as we leave Bunbury City Kart Club following the Coastal Classic this weekend for 2021. Big thank you to the West Australian KZ Series and our live streaming sponsors for getting on board and supporting live streaming, brought to you by 4-Star Media here from Bunbury. And a big thanks to our event sponsors as well: Worthy Parts, Full of Beans Coffee, Custom Engineering, Super Cool Air Conditioning, T&N Sheet Metal, MAS Equipment, and Flat Out Karts getting involved to support the Coastal Classic. And a massive thank you to the KZ Series sponsors and live streaming sponsors: patriciacourse.com, BRM Karts Australia, and OJG Engineering, bringing you some of the live streaming coverage as the first group of KZ2 comes out to play. We've already got a KF kart off to the side of the infield, getting caught up on the outlap here. It's a 38 kart field, so what we go for is an oversubscribed format. With full fields all round, things are going to get a little bit weird during qualifying and the heat racing. This is your point standings coming into this round though. Jake Claridge making a big step in the early stages of the championship. He leads away coming into round 3 here from Sam Dicker into the second spot. The defending series champion Blake Mills currently sits third in the number 2 Ricardo kart. From Damon Papa Sergio having a great run since the move to Minton Motorsport in P4. Nick Middick in the BRM kart goes P5, and what a treat it is to see the 5 different brands of karts, regardless of where they're actually manufactured, across the top 5 in the field. Luca Nietzsche goes P6 in the series coming into this round from Ryan Bender in P7 on equal points with Jaden Pierce in P8. Mason Harvey, P9, and Simon Gwilliam rounding out your top 10 in the championship. Coming into this weekend, Gwilliam on a new power plant with a tuned-up TM motor for the weekend's proceedings. Will be interesting to see how he handles the number 12 KF kart around the circuit here. So we're into it and getting going in this bumper field. This is the first of two groups in the order. So we will see two separate qualifying sessions, and we'll keep an eye on the fast times as they come through. Joshua Merritt goes to the top of the timesheets, 33.240. Dan Curry, a previous series champion, goes second. Tommy Lawton goes to third from Melinda Sully in P4 early on here on a 34.56. The fast times still coming on through, though, as half of our field on track now. Josh Merritt still holds on to that one, 33.24. Curry in second, Sully third. Now Tommy Lawton goes to the top spot. Merritt dropping down to P4. Now he jumps back up again, 32.25. To reclaim the top spot, Lawton to second from Curry, Sully, and Brock Kenny rounding out your top five. Good to see Brock back in a go-kart. We never thought we'd see the day where Brock gets back in a kart and does some racing, and he knows his way around the circuit. I think the last time I saw Brock race at Bunbury City Kart Club when he won the West Australian State Championship in TAG 125 Light over Kip Foster. 2018 here at Bunbury City Kart Club. So we'll keep a close eye on him as well. Mitchell Mackay joining us this weekend from Victoria in the Paralympic kart. He goes into the order. He sits P6 right now as Tommy Lawton reclaims the top spot, 32.030. From Merritt in second, Curry in third. As they filter through to click off some more laps, we are halfway through the first of two sessions of qualifying. Brock Kenny to the top. He gets denied by Thomas Lawton. He had a fleeting moment at the top of the timesheets, but Tommy Lawton reclaims the top spot, 31.747 for Lawton. Kenny goes second on an 8.85. Mitchell Mackay to third. The first driver outside the 31s, he's on a 32.237. Still a bit of time to give away here. Over Josh Merritt in four. Daniel Curry goes P5 from Sully, Sugar, Bishop, Perella, Pedrotti, Gaycos, Potter, Friend, Trow, Howe, Drysdale. Dylan Drysdale's right down the order, not having the session that he was looking for the number 29 Ricardo kart. For the Queenslander, joining us here as Tommy Lawton goes back to the top again, 31.687. Now Drysdale finds some pace. He goes P5 with a 32.156. Daniel Curry goes to the second spot with a 31.824. Josh Merritt to third with a 31.869. Kenny to four with an 8.85. Drysdale rounds out your top five right now as a huge gaggle of karts comes down the main straightaway. The Paralympic of Mackay, the number 10 machine, in that bunch as well as we come down. 1.5 minutes to go. Tommy Lawton in the top spot. Now Drysdale really coming into a league of his own. He goes second. 31.805 for Drysdale. And the number 29 Ricardo kart trying to put the fight to Tommy Lawton out front. It's a 31.687 from Lawton. Can Drysdale find a bit more time? Daniel Curry into the third spot. Joshua Merritt P4. Brock Kenny rounds out your five in time. There's a couple of tenths of a second across the top five drivers. Mitchell Mackay just outside there in P6 right now. 1 minute to go in Group 1 of KZ2 qualifying. Thomas Lawton on a 31.687. Last time across was a 32.08. Not going to be sure if they have enough tyre underneath them to set another quick lap at the end of the session. Time will tell. As a huge field comes down, Lawton has a hand out the side. He is done. Thomas Lawton parks on the in-grid and calls it a day in qualifying. Dylan Drysdale quickens again. It's a 31.729. He closes the gap to the front. He's now half a tenth of a second. 42 thousandths to be exact off the pole spot right now. Mitchell Mackay, the Victorian, comes into the third spot. 31.781. He's another half a tenth off the back of Drysdale. Then Curry and Merritt rounding out your top five. Brock Kenny drops to the sixth spot. From Daniel Sugar and Paul Pedrotti, Mitchell Perella and Melinda Sully rounding out your top 10 so far. As time expires on MyLab Speed Hive, Mitchell Mackay to the top. 31.604 for Mackay. The number 10 Paralyn kart goes to the top of the order from Daniel Curry in second. Lawton getting dropped to third here. Drysdale in four. Merritt rounding out your five. Working on through the back end of this session, Mitchell Mackay takes the fight to the front for the Victorian. He filters on through another lap. It's a 32.4 that time by for Mackay. Does not improve his time as Daniel Curry, a past series champion, is 15 thousandths of a second off the pole spot in the number 3 Energy Course kart. Can he pick up the pace and claim the top spot before we head into Group 2? Thomas Lawton parked up on the in-grid. Doesn't have the chance to take the fight to the front. He will stay third right now from Drysdale in 4, Pedrotti in 5. From Kenny, Merritt, Sugar, Perella, and Sully as the checkered flag comes on out to wrap up qualifying Group 1 in KZ2 for the third round of the West Australian KZ Series. Mitchell Mackay takes provisional pole. It's a 31.604, the time to beat for the second group. Daniel Curry will go second on a 6.19. Tommy Lawton goes third on a 6.87. Dylan Drysdale goes P4 on a 7.29. Brock Kenny goes P5 on a 7.76 from Pedrotti, Merritt, Sugar, Perella, and Melinda Sully, rounding out your top 10. At the changeover point in qualifying for KZ, one session run and done. We are set for the second session to come out in just a moment. It's the third round of the West Australian KZ Series here from Bunbury City Kart Club for the 2021 Coastal Classic.
number 65 and cart number 36, KZ2. Go to the stewards room, please.
Welcoming back on track as we get ready to do it again. This is the second group of KZ2 in a split format. We are oversubscribed here at Bunbury City Kart Club, which means we have some really exciting heat race matchups coming at you later today. But this is a big one. This has your current championship contenders in the order here. The bottom half of the field got sent out for the first qualifying session. This is the top of town. Championship leader Jake Claridge in there with Sam Dicker and Damon Papa Sergio as well, all trying to lead the field around to get things started. The time to beat 31.604 from the Victorian, Mitchell Mackay, and the number 10 Paralympic cart. And Sam Dicker coming into this weekend knowing he probably doesn't have the advantage that he's had at other circuits. He openly admits that Bunbury City Kart Club isn't one of his stellar tracks, and taking on the new step of engine development. Keeping it in-house at flat-out karts will be interesting to see whether Sam actually has something to play with this weekend at Bunbury City Kart Club for the third round of the West Australian KZ Series. As the first flying laps are nothing to really look at. They're just starting to get things up to temp. Engines will be perfect right now. They've done a lot of running on the stands to get warmed up and ready for qualifying. Now the fast laps will start to come through. Keeping an eye on the times as they start to improve the pace. Currently, Adam Levi is the fastest one on track right now. He's 9th quick in the overall on a 32.064. Bailey Gretsch, the next fastest on track. He's 11th quick overall, 32. Now we change again. Mason Harvey goes fast. He goes in to P6 at the moment. 31.780 for Harvey. As the times start to fall, Simon Gwillam with the new engine goes to 5th. And they move around now. Bailey Mickler in the BRM car goes to 3rd. 31.629. That 6.04 looks very easily to achieve as they come on down the line. Henry Johnston goes fastest. 31.586. New fastest time from Johnston in the number 90 BRM car. Mason Harvey takes it. Now Sam Dicker takes it from all of them. 31.420. For Dicker. Claridge in second on a 4.95. Nick Minnick goes third on a 31.545. Simon Gwillam goes P4 on a 31.568 from Harvey in P5. Then Johnston, Bender, Mackay. Mitchell Mackay dropping all the way down to the 9th spot now after that lap in the first session. Bailey Gretsch moving up to P3. Henry Johnson down to P4. Nick Minnick rounding out your 5 now is Sam Dicker on a 31.420. Across the line, he shortens it a little bit. 31.416. Ryan Bender goes to second. The number 6 Birillard chassis goes to the 2 spot. 31.450 for Bender. Willen goes to the 3rd spot here. 31.456 for Gumby in 3rd. Mason Harvey takes it off him. Jake Claridge goes to 2nd on a 4.95. Harvey goes 3rd. They move around again. Bailey Gretsch to the top. the 55 CRG kart. I think the only CRG in the entire field goes to the top, but only for a moment. Johnston claims the top spot, going 31.327. As Samuel Dicker equalises it, matching lap times at the top end of town. Dicker and Johnston sharing the fastest time in the session, 31.327 across the line. Bailey Gretsch goes third, Claridge 4, Luca Nietzsche goes P5 with a 31.443 from Bender, Grilling, Pierce, Hardy and Subic, your top 10. The fastest driver from Group 1, Mitchell Mackay, goes 15th as Jake Claridge claims the top spot. 31.247 for Claridge, the number 95 Tony Kart chassis. We are getting close to knocking on the door of a very, very low 31 here. I think the fastest time, last time we were here at Bunbury City Kart Club for the KZ series, was Jaden Pierce on a 31.5. We are well below that right now. Claridge with a 31.247, Dicker with a 4.50, Johnston with a 4.90, Gretsch in P4 with a 3.96 last time across the line. Jake Claridge backing up a 31.2 with a 31.9, so just lifting off the loud pedal for a moment to pull things up. The number 60 Tony Carter, Riley Traeger into the ink to call it a session. Traeger going 12th fastest right now with a 31.535 it looks like. Trying to find him on the timing sheet as Jake Claridge still sits on top, 31.247. Samuel Dicker into the second spot. Henry Johnson, the Victorian. And the number 90 BRM kart goes third from Gretsch and Pierce. Your top 5. Pierce that time by 31.439 to sit him P5. Luca Nietzsche 6. Nick Middick in the 7 from Bender. Grillam and Harvey, your top 10. Everyone's sounding like they're starting to button off. Pierce is off the gas. The checkered flag is out. That is a wrap in qualifying as the hands get thrown. Jake Claridge drawing first blood here at Bunbury City Kart Club, your championship leader. Coming here to Bunbury this weekend, Claridge claims the top spot in qualifying, 31.247 for the number 95 Tony Kart. Sam Dicker goes to second on a 3.27. Henry Johnston goes to third on a 3.27, matching lap times for Dicker and Johnston for second and third on the grid. Bailey Gretsch goes to P4 with a 31.374. Jaden Pierce P5 with a 31.439 from Nietzsche, Middick, Bender, William and Harvey, your top 10. Tommy Sparks goes P11 from Caleb Sumich, in 12 from Traeger and Papa Sergio, and Blake Mills, defending series champion, P15 in qualifying on a 31.560, 3.1 of a second off the back of the pole time. Mitchell Mackay, the fastest driver out of Group 1, he will go P16 in qualifying for the number 10 Parallel kart from Victoria. Daniel Curry, P17 from Bailey Mickler in the 18. Adam Levi in 19, and Tommy Lawton rounding out your top 20. Followed by Dylan Drysdale from Queensland. The number 21 Ricardo Kart goes to P21 on the grid. Brock Kenny's 22nd from Pedrotti, Merritt, Sugar, Perella, Sully, Trout, Bishop and Friend, your top 30. And bringing up the back, Ethan Trout, Nathan Jack, Jason Gaycourse, and everything switches over as we go kicking into Heat 1 in just a moment. It's the Coastal Classic for 2021 here at Bunbury City Kart Club. And we are getting set for Heat 1 in just a couple of moments. KA3 Senior Light sitting on the out grid, getting ready to go.
Champions. 16 over A final. This will be a hot competition. Every time I walk back out here, I'm beautiful Giant Christchurch Grammar School. They will be the champions for 2020, 2019.
right up behind him, about a half.
Between 5th and 6th, it's Turner with a big mistake.
But Duffy comes out the gate like a bolt of lightning.
Well, time to kick off the racing portion of the day here at Bunbury City Kart Club. We are racing and away with KA3 Senior Light. Mason Fraser going to lead the field down through turn 1 to kick us off into Flat Out Kart's curve. And he leads the Flat Out Kart into the second spot as Trent Mann jumps into P3. Looks like Darcy got dropped off at the start there. Benitez down a couple of spots on the opening lap, but it's the 40 of Michael Jonesy Jones into the second spot as they head up the hill towards the Greco hairpin at the very top end of town. Mason Fraser leading the way in the 62 machine. Into the peak and down the line to kick us off. 1 down, 9 to go in KA3 Senior Light. Jones into second, then we go back to Trent Mann in third. Butterfield 4, Kaylin Edwards in 5 from Wastel. Benitez well and truly falling from grace here as Darcy qualified second on the grid and falls all the way down to P7 on the opening couple of laps. Jamie Taylor rounding out the 8 as they come across the top end of town again. We're watching this battle further back in the fight for fourth as Trent Mann has broken away from the field. We're following along in the fight for P4. Jono Butterfield and Kaylin Edwards with Darcy Benitez right in there as well. Now dropped off Riley Wastel into the 7th spot. Darcy moving up a little bit in town. She goes to P6. Now fired one up the inside and moves up another spot here over the 31 of Edwards as they go through the middle section of the circuit. So a shocking opening couple of laps here from young Darcy, but she's fighting back with a vengeance into the top end of town as we move back to the fight at the front because Jonesy's not giving up on this battle with Mason at the moment. They come down the line towards Canteen Corner. 3 down, 7 to go. Mason Fraser leading the way from Michael Jonesy Jones into the second spot with the Flat Out Karts number 40 machine. Staying in touch as Trent Mann goes third. The number 21 Comp Kart choosing the Fluoro for the 27 machine. She sets an equal fastest lap of the race so far with Mason Fraser and Trenna matching lap times. 34.189 last time across the line. This battle for fourth further back here. Butterfield and Benitez, 4 and 5 as they come out of the pimple and onto the main straightaway. Butterfield looking across, sees Benitez firing into the inside. She gets the 4th spot as they head into the flat out curve. The number 88 Tony Kart machine and Darcy Benitez picking up a spot here. The Esprit Autos entry a shocking start, but she's making her way back through the field as Trina Mann resets the hot lap of the race a moment ago. You can just see her flashing across your screen at the moment. It's a 33.977 for Trina. She's trying to close the gap to the pointy end as Benitez has a little peek over the shoulder, checks on Butterfield, who peeks over and checks on Edwards behind as they tip it on into the flat-out curve. The BTQ number 51. Bart Up Fab and BBR FA Kart holding on to P5 now over Callan Edwards back there in 6 as Benitez is moving forward on track, breaking away from this battle. You can see the gap she's put on these two as they fight it out some more. Out front, the gaps are starting to open up between Fraser and Jones. You can just see Trina Mann on the right side of your screen there flashing across. Look at the gap that Darcy has put on these two though. As Mason Fraser goes fast again, 33.715 for Fraser. Very quick time from Mason after setting the fastest time in qualifying this morning. Leading the way from the pole spot. We pick him up down the line. He goes. It is 3 laps to go for Mason Fraser. The 62 OTK FA Kart leading the way here from Jonesy in the second spot. Fraser sets a hot time again, 33.678. We'll pick up with Jonesy now, the number 40 Flat Out Karts machine. Rocking the old school DPE and Flat Out Karts Arrow racing suit from a few years ago now. Looking the goods as he tries to chase down Fraser. The gap looks a little close this time by. Fraser might have dropped off on this lap. It's 2 to go as they come down the line. We'll check the gap as they hit the timing loop. And head on into flat out curve. The gap comes down to 0.3 of a second as Darcy sets the hot time of the race. 33.595 from Darcy Benitez, but Michael Jones is making a run for the lead, trying to put the fight to Mason Fraser for Heat 1 honours here at Bunbury City Kart Club for the 2021 Coastal Classic, brought to you by Worthy Parts, Full of Beans Coffee, Custom Engineering, Super Cool Air Conditioning, T&N Sheet Metal, Flat Out Karts and MAS Equipment. As the final lap comes along, the KA3 Senior Light, Fraser still holds the lead, but Jones pulled it down again to 2.5 of a second as Darcy Benitez reset the fast lap of the race once again, 33.573, making a comeback drive after a shocking start to Heat 1 for Darcy. She's trying to close the gap to Trina Mann in the third spot, but it's going to be no can do as the checkered flag is out and waiting. Mason Fraser runs it down the line, almost drops the wheel and goes lights to flag in Heat 1 of KA3 Senior Light. Fraser wins Heat 1, Jones in second, Trina Mann in third, Darcy. Results up on screen thanks to MyLab Speed Hive. Inform the results as we bring you all the action from Bunbury City Kart Club for the 2021 Coastal Classic.
Junior to the grid, please. KA3 Junior.
Cadet 9 on track and getting ready to rock and roll here as they get all bunched up at the top end of the circuit. This is the youngest field of drivers here in Western Australia, getting ready to rock and roll. 7 of them on track right now, from Connor Mayer, your pole starter, alongside Diego Stewart on the front row in the 73 Tony Kart machine. Bo Casagrande set the 3rd fastest time in qualifying to start on the inside of the 2nd row as we watch the lights to go out and send the youngsters racing. We are away for 10 laps of Heat 1 in Cadet 9. Connor Mayer forcing the issue off. Diago going to go wide. The number 2 of Razzo getting caught up there. There's a couple more in there as well. The 22 of Taj McDonald. And another one I missed out. I think it was the 58 of Jake Kostecki getting caught up there at turn 1. Unfortunate for the youngsters, as Diego Stewart ran wide on the exit of 1. Connor Mayer was just hard on the lock stops trying to turn the kart in. As we watch the battle, this is the fight for 2nd, I believe, as they come around. As Connor Mayer leads the field down the line for lap number 1. The 43 flat-out karts Arrow chassis leading things out as Diego Stewart goes across for 2nd. The 77 of Casagrande dropping to 3rd as Diego tries to fight back through the field and get back into that 2 spot. The 73 Tony Kart. As the gap's already starting to open up here in Cadet 9s, this is where it all begins. The youngsters getting their start in their career. A great little fight in this little pack here. It's Jaden Razzo fighting it out with the 58 of Jake Kostecki. Isabella Patrizzi in that fight as well. The Ricardo kart rocking the bright pink helmet as they come down the line. You see Kostecki got checked up on the main straight there, and he might have a problem because he is very, very slow coming out of turn 1, and I think, unfortunately, Jay has an issue. He's going to go back behind these. We pick up with your race leader, though, Connor Mayer across the top end of the track, leading things out as he brings it on down the line. We are 3 laps completed, 7 to go. For Connor Mayer, leading things out, Diego Stewart into the 2nd spot. Bo Casagrande in 3rd as they filter through. Approaching the halfway point here for Cadet 9's Heat number 1 here at Bunbury City Kart Club for the 2021 Coastal Classic. as the sounds of 8-cylinder sprint cars rip around Bunbury Speedway to the back of the circuit. We are halfway home. Beyond that, even 4 to go as they bring it around next time across for Connor Mayer. Here in Cadet 9's Heat 1, he leads out by a few seconds on track now. Some 5 seconds he has over Diago Stewart in the second spot. Bo Casagrande in the third, right behind Diago as they come down the line. In fact, Bo losing out now. There's Taj McDonald. Comes across the line behind. They are going a lap or so down. Bo still holding on to third from Jaden Razzo over 4. Taj McDonald P5. Isabella Patrizzi in the 6. And problems for Jake Kostecki, unfortunately, put him back in 7. And I don't think he is circulating anymore here at Bunbury City Kart Club. In Cadet 9, Heat 1, 3 laps to go for Connor Mayer as he comes down the main straight. Last lap forward comes on out to pick up Connor as he brings it down the line. 1 to go here in Heat 9 of Cadet 9s. Young Diago comes across the line in the second spot. Bo Casagrande down the line in third. As the checkered flag flies, Connor Mayer claims the win in Heat 1 of Cadet 9s. Diago Stewart down the line for second. Bo Casagrande bringing it out of the final corner. Will bring it down the line to claim third here in Cadet 9's Heat number 1. Taj McDonald running 4 from Isabella. Just with our results, I would assume. Not quite indicative of what we see on track. We'll let the fine folks and race officials clean that up. As Cadet 9 Heat 1, run and done from Bunbury City Kart Club. As it's all happening here at Bunbury City Kart Club, we pan across from the Bunbury Speedway behind us here. Some practice laps going on for various teams of the Winged Warriors. I think I saw a Mayolo car out there burning some laps on the dirt oval that is Bunbury Speedway. We're back on track. KA3 Junior coming out for their first heat of the weekend. With 8 drivers on track, Noah Lyle was the man to beat in qualifying this morning, with Ethan Traeger going second fast in the session. And that will be your front row. Aiden Deckers in the number 33 KF kart. Be one to watch here from the inside of the second row as they all form up across the top end of the track. Zane Rhodes sitting there on the outside second row. From Cade Davey and Jack Caiulo. Ethan Flynn lining up at the back of the field as we watch the lights to go out and send us racing. 10 laps on the board. We are away. KA3 Junior Heat 1, and they're fighting over it. Down into turn 1 as Traeger tries to hang it the hard way. All the way around the outside into the flat-out curve. Ethan Flynn, where is he going? Off into the tyre barrier at the flat-out curve. And his race will be all but run and done as he gets to rejoin thanks to the wonderful invention of the centrifugal clutch. But he's so far off the race, he's practically rolling around just to collect the points and take a finish here in Heat 1. The fight is going on at the back of the pack. This is Caiulo, Deckers, and Davey getting involved here for 4, 5, and 6 on the road. Deckers from third on the grid goes to the back on the opening lap here as Lyle leads Traeger from Rhodes into the flat-out karts curve for the second time here in Heat 1 of KA3 Junior. Noah Lyle in the flat-out karts and Arise Racing Parallel chassis. Noah was due to make his circuit racing debut a couple of weeks ago, slotted to race in a Formula Ford up at Wanneroo Raceway. And what was meant to be the April race meeting, unfortunately, ended up being cancelled due to newly imposed COVID restrictions. And in the rescheduled event, he was over at the Australian Kart Championship, running with the boys over there. So we're yet to see Noah making his debut on circuit racing grounds as he leads away here in KA3 over Ethan Traeger in the number 3 Ricardo kart. Zane Rhodes sitting there in third. We're following this battle though. Caiulo and Davey at the moment fighting it out for 4th and 5th. Decker's having a shocker of a race. He's all the way down in 6th and falling off the back of this fight as they bring it down the main straightaway. Just checking in on your leaders very briefly. Lyle checks over his shoulder on Traeger. Still hanging with him at the moment as they head through flat-out curve. This is a nice little tight battle. Traeger just hanging in there at the moment. Trying to find where Lyle shows any weakness on track, and Traeger will be happy to pounce on him. Zane Rhodes sitting a little bit further back as Traeger sets a hot lap of the race last time across. It's a 33.974 for Ethan Traeger. Last time across, 34.09 for Noah Lyle. We're 4 down, 6 to go this time across. Lyle checks over his shoulder. Traeger nonchalantly looks to his right to check on Rhodes behind. In the Cosmic kart, 3 different brands of kart across your top 3. It's Parallel, V Ricardo, V Cosmic, as they stretch things out, followed by the Cosmic of Caiulo in the 4. The comp kart of Davey in P5 from the KF, the Drew Price Engineering X5 version in P6 of Aiden Deckers. Ethan Flynn in the Tony kart, rounding out your 7. Halfway home we go now. Noah Lyle checking out a bit of a gap as he opens things up over Traeger. We still follow this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. This is Caiulo, Davey, and Deckers. Now, it looks like Aiden's starting to come on song here. The 33 KF kart for Flora Plant starting to get a little bit quicker as he closes the gap onto the back of this fight. He'll be wanting to make some moves, see if he can move up in the order in a smaller field of just 8 drivers here in KA3 Junior. As we're not seeing Robert West out on track, so we're down to 7. And with Ethan Flynn off the road on the opening lap, he is still circulating, but a long way off this battle. So we're left with 6 in the hunt as Noah Lyle leads away. Traeger, another half second further adrift in the second. Zane Rhodes, another 0.4 of a second further back into the 3rd spot as they go across the top end of the track. It'll be 3 to go for Noah Lyle this time by As now Davey starting to pour the pressure onto young Jack Caiullo. Aiden Deck is right in there with a chance of trying to snatch these 2 spots. As they head into flat out curve once again. It was 3 laps to go as they came across the stripe. As things start to fall into a processional order. Lyle from Traeger, from Rhodes in 3rd. They've opened up big gaps between the top 3 at the moment. Bit of a further gap back to Jack Caiullo in 4. Over Davey in 5 and Deckers in 6. We pick up with Noah Lyle. The number 4, Arise Racing and Flat Out Karts Parallel chassis. Leading things out into the top end of the track. And bringing it across the top end. To go down the line to pick up the last lap board. It's 1 to go for Noah Lyle here in Heat 1 of KA3 Junior. Cool, calm and collected as Ethan Traeger tries to chase him down, the number 3 Ricardo kart. Over Zane Rhodes a little bit further back in 3rd in the Cosmic. Traeger with a hot lap of the race again, 33.400. A few laps to go to be the fastest young man on track, but doesn't quite have track position or the consistency to take the fight to Noah Lyle. As Lyle brings it down the line as the checkered flag flies. Lyle wins Heat 1 of KA3 Junior from Traeger in 2nd. Zane Rhodes in 3rd. Aiden Deckers will claim P4 in a recovery drive after a shocking opening couple of laps to the race. Jack Caiullo in P5, Kate Davey P6, and Ethan Flynn will run it down the line to go P7 in Heat 1 of KA3 Junior. So as we get set to go racing for tag 125 restricted light, off the front of 125 restricted medium, 2 classes in a combined race to get it done as the lights in a 4-kart field lead them around. Young Sebastian Fiorenza will lead the field away to kick things off. As we get set to go, watch the lights to go out and send us racing. As the lights get away, the mediums get the bum steer. They have to get going as soon as they come off the corner. And it looks like Timmy Gorman getting the jump of the mediums as Fiorenza leads the lights into the center of the circuit for the opening lap of racing. 10 laps on the board here for 125 restricted light and 125 restricted medium. You see Timmy Gorman in the 37. I think it's a Gillard kart. Haven't seen one of them in a century. Into the lead of the mediums as we get underway for their first of their 10-lap heats here at the Coastal Classic 2021 from Bunbury City Kart Club. Fiorenza leads away in restricted light. As Gorman leads away from mediums, Cooper cuts into the second spot. Brad Smith in the third from Josh Eates and Nathan Lee. Your top 5 from Fiorenza out front from George Nicholson and Eaton. In the restricted lights, we're watching Cooper cuts at the moment. The number 16 VRM kart from Brad Smith and Joshua Eates putting the pressure on here. This is a fight for second and third, with Eates just a little bit further behind in the 4th spot as they come down the line. Gorman now dropping back a little bit. He's lapping actually past the last kart in the line. So the 17 Ricardo kart you see behind your race leader of the mediums, Timmy Gorman. That is actually Thomas Eaton, the 4th kart in the lights. I know this will get confusing, but we'll pick it up as Gorman in the 37 Redline Oils entry leads the field up towards the Agreco hairpin. Cooper cuts, dives up the inside of Thomas Eaton in the lights class. And Cuts holds on to second as he chases Gorman around the track. He's got a rear bumper full of Brad Smith and the 89 Ricardo kart as they come down the line. 3 down, 7 to go. We'll pick up with this battle for second and third at the moment. Shane George and Cassie Nicholson fighting it out for second and third in the 125 restricted lights. As Sebastian Fiorenza is just clearing out right now. He is getting out of here. G-O-R-N, gone. We go back to Cuts and Smith fighting it out for second and third. In the mediums as they come down the line, 6 to go. Smith is all over his rear bumper. And Timmy Gorman getting out front and breaking away as we can see this little battle shaping up right behind the number 9 of Joshua Eates, trying to put some pressure on the back of Brad Smith for the 3rd spot. In the mediums, he has a look up the inside, drags a bumper on the tyre, gets a little bit out of shape and rejoins. Now he drops back a little bit into the clutches of Nathan Lee, holding on to P5 in your 125 restricted mediums. Cross on the halfway point, 5 down, 5 to go. Timmy Gorman leads Cooper Cuts and Brad Smith in your mediums. Out front is Sebastian Fiorenza from these two. Shane George and Cassie Nicholson, second and third in 125 restricted light. One thing that could be an equaliser today, we said it wasn't going to happen, and I think we put the mockers on it, is there's a very light sprinkle of moisture in the air here at Bunbury City Kart Club. So a scramble from our production staff trying to get covers up and cover things up, make sure we don't lose any extensively expensive equipment here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Hopefully it does pass and we continue on in dry conditions for the remainder of the day for the Coastal Classic 2021 125 restricted light and restricted mediums on track at the moment. 2 laps to go for Sebastian Fiorenza. Coming across your screen right now, that is the gap that he has for the race lead in restricted lights over Shane George in second, Cassie Nicholson in third. Then we go back, it's Timmy Gorman leading the mediums from Cooper Cutts, trying to close the gap down. Brad Smith in the third spot, Joshua Eates and Nathan Lee. Tim Bathgate, Lloyd Nicholson, Ryan Lee and Nathan Bassett. Your order for the mediums, with Thomas Eaton, the odd one out there in the 17 Ricardo kart. 4th place in the 125 restricted lights at the moment. As their field runs on by, Fiorenza comes down the line with 1 to go. He's on his last lap for tag 125 restricted light in the Rotax powered OTK kart. Leading things out from Shane George in second as Gorman comes across. Cooper Cutts absolutely monstering him on track right now. Closing the gap right up. They're separated by 9/10 of a second as they come across the line. The last time across, Cutts brought the gap down by another 10th or so as he tries to close the gap, but the checkered flag will fly. Sebastian Fiorenza wins 125 restricted light, Heat 1 here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Over George in second, Nicholson in third as Timmy Gorman runs to the line to win mediums Heat 1 over Cooper Cutts in second, and Brad Smith rounding out your top 3. There's your full finishing results. Now remember, your top 3 shown on screen are your 125 restricted lights. The 37 card showing 4th overall is Timmy Gorman, your winner of 125 restricted medium over Cooper Cutts, and Brad Smith in third. As Fiorenza wins the lights from George and Nicholson, rounding out the top 3. Cadet 12 coming out on track, as we were expecting the KZ2s to come on out. A little shuffle in the order we have, and we get on going with Cadet 12s out on track for their first heat of the day for the 2021 Coastal Classic here at Bunbury City Kart Club. What a field of Cadet 12s we have. We have a great field of drivers lining up for this one in a super close qualifying session. This is going to be hot to trot. Radford and Piavitas were going at it. Hammer and tong, tooth and nail, kitchen sink and every other utensil you can find. Fighting it out in qualifying. Chase Wildman wants to get in this fight as well. The same for Chase Webb. We'll see what they've got for each other. Over 10 laps of racing coming up in a moment as we get our 17 kart field bunched up and in order. At the end of the 6-minute qualifying, it was Radford, your fastest driver on track by the barest of margins. Right at the end of the session over Piavitas, who will start on the outside front row. Behind them, it's Wildman, the 77 Tony Kart. Each race meeting, he looks a little bit taller in the seat as Wildman starts on third. Chase Webb with a great showing here to go to the second row of the grid. As we pick him up, coming around behind, the 67 of Klee and Thompson on the third row as we watch the lights to go out to send us racing. No start though, the lights will stay lit and we will not go racing just yet. A bunch of hands thrown up in the air as they get brought around. And we'll watch them get formed up and ready to go once again. The Cadet 12's the second step in age progression in Australian karting. As they come out of Cadet 9s, they get a little bit older, they go to a little bit more horsepower with the Vortex Mini Rock engines. They change the restrictor out, they give them a bit more power to play with before they look at eyeing off, stepping up into the junior ranks through KA4, KA3, or even into KA2, which we see as part of our West Australian KA2 series this weekend for the third round of their championship alongside the West Australian KZ2 series. This is where the youngsters really start to find their feet as they eye off watching those lights to go out and send us racing for 10 laps on the board. We are lights out and racing. Cadet 12 down the line. Radford is going to lead the field into turn 1, but there's big slide jobs happening. Thompson off the road there. The number 3 of Razzo off the road as well. It's a big lose for Campbell. He's going to go to the back of the line as Radford and Wildman fight it out at the top end of town through the midfield. Someone's dropped the wheel but rejoins. And luckily it doesn't go spearing off in the midfield of the circuit. There's a bit of a bunch up further behind though as karts flying left, right and everywhere you look. As they fight it out across the top end. Wildman to the inside. Radford trying to counter and hold on to second. Chase Wildman to the lead on the opening lap of Cadet 12 Heat 1. Down the line, the Wildman going to make everyone else do the chasing. Radford into the second spot as they come down the line. Piavitas dropping into the third spot here. Chase Webb holding on to P4 as they bring it around. It's the 67 of Jordan Klee in P5 as they head up the top of the hill. Now Webb fires one up the inside of Piavitas, who switches in back. It gets over-rotated. Klee copped the backhander out of that one. Through no fault of his own, he found a go-kart occupying the piece of real estate that he was meant to be in. Meanwhile, Wildman out front from Radford in second. Now Chase Webb setting the track alight. He's trying to chase him down. As Radford finds himself the meat in a chase sandwich. Wildman leading. As Radford tries to close the gap, we watch this battle with Bailey Reardon at the moment, the 95 KF kart. Having a good fight of his own between Graham Bernardi and Ryan Warner for 6th, 7th and 8th on the road as they head up towards the Agreco hairpin. The gaps out front starting to open up as we pick them up across the top end of the track. And down the line, Wildman opening up a gap over Radford now. Getting a hurry up from Daryl Henderson on the sidelines. Giving young Chase the juice. Connor Radford into second. Orlando Piavitas goes back to the third spot and resets the hot lap of the race. Chase Webb back down to P4. As we just watched the 46 of Graham Bernardo getting caught up there on the exit, a flat-out curve. Finding some trouble in the field as we pick up with Chase Wildman across the top end of the track, the 77 Tony Kart. Down the line, 4 down, 6 to go. Radford wants to start to try and close the gap. For your pole starter in this one, it's a wild opening couple of laps, but Radford stays cool, calm and collected as he sets a hot lap of the race. It's a 38.245 for Radford. Last time across it was a 38.330 for Chase Wildman. There's 3.5 tenths of a second between them as they come across the line. So you've got to get within 2.5 tenths to make a move here in Cadet 12s. The karts definitely benefit from big approaching speeds and late braking maneuvers in this class as they come down the line. 5 down, 5 to go. Wildman leads away. Instructions from the grandstands for Wildman to keep it smooth. Drive with your fingertips as Radford continues to try and close the gap. That time across, Piavitas was the fastest on track to a 37.9. 3 tenths of a second faster than your race leaders. Young Orlando is on fire trying to close that gap. He is 6.5 tenths of a second off the back of second place Connor Radford. We go further back to Chase Webb and Jordan Klee, 4th and 5th on the road at the moment. Webb checking over his shoulder as they come across the top end of the track and down the line. Again, he looks over the shoulder. That time by Radford. Closes the gap to 2.1 tenths of a second. Piavitas again closing the gap down. He actually loses time that time by, I'm mistaken, it's the 38.2 for Piavitas. As now Radford and Wildman going to go side by side for the race lead. Radford goes left, goes right, tries to look for a way around. He looks up the inside of the Greco hairpin. Escorts Wildman off the racing line, and in comes Orlando trying to go around the outside but loses out, getting the kart sideways. Vents his frustration and slots back into the 3rd spot. It's 4 laps to go. Down the line, Connor Radford from the pole spot takes over the race lead here. Wildman into the 2. And Orlando, the fastest man on track, was right in with a shot at tackling these two. Got caught up with the Wildman and loses out. Will slot back into the 3rd spot here. It's Webb and Klee further behind in 4th and 5th. As we follow Piavitas up into the top end of the track. Can Wildman put the pressure on Radford for the lead? They come across the top end. It's Radford down the line. 7 down, 3 to go. The Wildman wants a piece of him though. Radford closes off an inside line move. Chase is putting the pressure on into the flat-out karts curve. Across the line, it was 1.5 tenths of a second. The gap, Wildman was 2 tenths faster than Radford. That lap alone brings the gap right down in the closing stages for what could be an exciting finish to Heat 1, but it looks like Radford has opened up a couple of kart lengths again. As they come out of the hairpin, he's a little bit wide at the switchback left-hander. That brings Wildman back into the fight, and they come onto the main straightaway. About a kart length between them. Last lap board is out. 1 to go. Radford covering off an inside run. That's going to slow him down through Canteen Corner though. And it covers off again. Big blocking maneuvers here from Radford allows Wildman to push him into the middle section of the circuit. Meanwhile, Orlando is pushing everything he's got to try and close the gap and get into this fight in the closing stages of Heat 1 for Cadet 12. Up towards the Greco hairpin. This is where Radford made the race leading move. He covers off an inside line, again tight to the left-hander. Wildman could pull a surprise on the final corner, but is not close enough as he bogs the 77 kart down. Checkered flag is out. Connor Radford is going to run to the line to win Heat 1 from Chase Wildman in 2nd. Orlando Piavitas in 3rd. In Cadet 12's Heat 1, Chase Webb comes home in P4. Jordan Klee in P5. And a great battle for the Cadet 12s here. Bailey Reardon will run down the line to claim P6 from Ryan Warner in P7. Mitchell Turner in P8 from Nicholas Razzo in P9. Great recovery from Nicholas after getting escorted off the racetrack on the opening lap of racing here. Zach Casagrande rounds out your top 10 from Riley Curry in 11. Graham Bernarde in the 12 from William Kalsic Chen in 13. Xander Edgington in 14. Lucas Kalsic Chen in 15. And Campbell Thompson, an unfortunate story after the lap 1 incident brought him unstuck, and he will show a DNF for Heat 1 at the Coastal Classic at Bunbury City Kart Club.
competition.
They will be the champions for 2020, 18, 2019. And congratulations to our champion, John 23rd College.
We are go. Round 20 lap final. Nickler with a jogging start again. Corey Vincent, your KZ2 final winner.
Off the start away, it looks like a 7-3. Got a good one up Daniel. Black ticket play. Who's going to take it, ladies and gentlemen?
They're right on him, right up behind him, about a half.
Between 5th and 6th, it's Turner with a big mistake. But Duffy comes out the gate like a bolt of lightning.
Well, the first one of the big dancers for today, KZ2 coming out on track. This is the oversubscribed racing format for the West Australian KZ Series. As we look on screen, your current point standings coming into this weekend. Jake Claridge leads the championship after setting the best runs of the heats so far this year. And coming into this one, he took the pole this morning as well, so he will start on the front row alongside Sam Nicker, who ironically runs second in the championship right with him at the moment. Blake Mills sits third, Damon Papa Sergio fourth from Nick Middick, rounding out the top five in the championship over Luke Anici, Ryan Bender, Jaden Pearce, Mason Harvey and Simon Gwillam. Your top 10 in the West Australian KZ Series this year. This is A versus B, so this is drivers who qualified 1, 4 and so on, up against drivers who qualified 2, 5 and etc. into it. So as the field rolls it down to the starting grid on the main straight, we have 2/3 of our 38 kart entry list lining up. It's a monstrous grid, and this is not even full capacity. This is KZ2 Heat 1 for the weekend. 15 laps on the board. Are you ready to pluck some gears at Bunbury City Kart Club? Lights are out. We watch for us to send them racing. We are going. Claridge gets a decent start. Dicker from the second spot on the grid gets away to push him through. Gretsch from the next row back goes into third, and they go piling into the flat-out karts curve. Henry Johnston, one to watch on the number 90 BRM kart. He slots into P5, just behind Gretsch, and it looks like Jaden Pearce in there. Someone backwards to the midfield. We pick him up across the top end of the track. Claridge and Dick are trying to get away early here. It looks like Johnston and Pearce in there as well, with Gretsch in the third spot, trying to put pressure on him early on into the race. Johnston goes for a look at the inside of the right-hander. Doesn't make it happen though, as Claridge leads the field down into turn 1 at the end of the opening lap of 15 here in Heat 1. This is your A group versus your B group. Claridge and Dicker, your championship leaders, getting themselves a bit of a buffer out front, but this is a great battle for third. It's Gretsch, Pearce and Johnston fighting it out as they come out and into the next part of the circuit. Sorry, I stand corrected. Nick Middick in there in the 96. Shout out to Jason Priolo. Make your O's and your 6s look different as we bring them down the line. 2 down, 13 to go. It's Middick putting pressure on Pearce at the moment. Ryan Bender tucking into that fight as well. Tommy Sparks, Damon Papa Sergio, Mason Harvey, Mitchell Mackay. The number 10 Parallel kart from Victoria joining us in P10 right now. From Levi, Curry, Traeger, Lawton and Brock Kenny, your top 15 so far. As they come on pouring across the top end of the track. Early stages of the weekend, you don't want to make it too big a move and really hurt your chances for the weekend. And when it comes to the West Australian KZ Series, every race counts for championship points. A DNF in a heat race will certainly hamper your run in the championship so far, so the likes of Claridge and Dicker are not going to make any stupid moves and put themselves at risk in the championship as they run 1 and 2 in the series coming into this weekend. They lead the way in this heat race from Gretsch in the third spot, Pearce in 4, Middick in P5. Now Ryan Bender trying to put some pressure on, and the Birillard chassis behind them in P6 as they come down the line. Tommy Sparks a little bit further behind in 7 as they head into the flat-out karts curve. Nick Middick fastest on track right now as he tries to close the gap and put some pressure on Jaden Pearce. Middick forcing the issue but loses out. Ryan Bender gets around him. So Bender will pick up a spot here and move up to P5. Middick back into the clutches of Tommy Sparks now. The 96 BRM kart coming under some pressure after a botched run at the top end of the track. Tommy Sparks and Mason Harvey right in there as well. Harvey now the fastest man on track, setting a hot time, 31.92 from Mason Harvey. We were in the 31.2s for qualifying. We're a long way off the pace from what we had, and this is to be expected. Everyone trying to conserve tyres, trying to race for track position, but also thinking about the tyre game. There is a lot of laps to be done on this set of tyres before we even make it to the final tonight. As Bailey Gretsch goes quick now, the 55 CRG kart, breaking away from this battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. He sets a 31.82 to be the fastest on track and consolidate that 3rd spot. We're watching. This is Pierce, Bender, Middick, Sparks and Harvey chasing each other across the top end of the track. Approaching that halfway point here in Heat 1 of KZ2, Claridge and Dicker. Out front, it's Tony Cart. From, I think, Dicker in the WPK is in the Willpower Cart. From the CRG of Gretsch, the Praga of Pierce, the Birrell of Ryan Bender, your top 5. The BRM of Middick in the 6. The Charles Leclerc Cart of Sparks in 7. Harvey in the Energy in the 8 spot. From Mackay in the Paralyn. Papa Sergio in the Birrell, rounding out your top 10. As we follow your race leaders, Claridge and Dicker, 1 and 2 in the championship. Qualifying on the front row together. Dicker went matching times with Henry Johnston. Down to the 10,000th of a second in qualifying this morning. Johnston losing out and going 3rd. He will join us from the C Group race coming up in a little while. But at the moment, it's Claridge and Dicker leading each other around. Bailey Gretsch is on a mission trying to close the gap. We follow this battle here behind the 4, 5 and 6 on the road. It's Pierce, Bender and Middick chasing each other into the flat-outs curve. But all said and done, Heat 1 for KZ2, a relatively processional affair after the opening couple of laps. A couple of drivers getting caught up and having big lose-outs on the opening laps. But once we settle into the groove, everyone's starting to think about the tyre management game. Who can be the smoothest and look after their rubber? As the battle behind, this is Middick and Bender. No one's looking after rubber there as Tommy Sparks finds himself drag racing up the inside of Bender. Can't quite get close enough. Bender will hold on to that spot after losing out P5 to Nick Middick. Middick bumps the BRM into the top 5. Now he leads a freight train behind him. Bender, Sparks, Harvey and Mackay all lining up to have a pot shot at him as they head up into the Agreco hairpin. It's Mackay up the inside of Harvey now. Mitch Mackay, the number 10 Paralyn from Victoria, moves himself up a spot and he jumps up into the 8 spot. As they come down the line, it's 4 laps to go. Jake Claridge out front and leading the way. We pick up with him and Sam Dicker. Looks like Sam's just buttoned off a little bit in the Willpower Cart. Wants to be careful not to fall too far back into the clutches of Bailey Gretsch in 3rd though. As Claridge resets the fastest lap of the race into the closing stages, running things down. It's a 31.687 for Claridge as they come down the line, putting a lap on one of our back markers. Great job from the back marker to jump out of the way, and they are going to have to almost come to a complete stop on the main straight to let that big old field through. Plucks a gear and jumps back out into clean air. As it was 3 to go last time across the line. Great job to the 36 of Daniel Trow to jump out of the way of the leaders, and basically like a 15 kart pack coming on by. 2 to go for Claridge this time across. Cool, calm and collected out front. Sam Dicker back there in 2nd from Gretsch in 3rd. Jake Pierce having a good run here to consolidate P4 in the opening heat. One of the wild horses in the field. The always unpredictable Jaden Pierce in the Praga kart. Holding on to the 4. Middick holding P5 at the moment as he's built himself a bit of a gap back to Ryan Bender in 6. From Sparks in 7. Mackay in 8. Then Harvey in 9. Adam Levi rounding out your top 10 as the last lap board is out. 1 to go for Jake Claridge in Heat 1 of KZ2 for the 3rd round of the West Australian KZ Series. Coming up on some lap traffic as they make their way through the midfield of the circuit. Coming up onto the 43 of Ethan Potter, currently 22nd on the road. Now to the Agreco hairpin for the final time. It's going to be lights to flag. Heat 1 will go the way of Jake Claridge down the line, your championship leader grabs some points in the bag once again here in Heat 1 from Sam Dicker in second, Bailey Gretsch in third, Jaden Pierce fourth, Nick Middick P5, Ryan Bender in sixth, Tommy Sparks in seventh, from Mitchell Mackay 8, Mace Harvey in the 9, and Adam Levi rounding out your top 10. That was KZ2 Heat 1, A Group versus B Group. Through the 2021 Coastal Classic, B versus C will be coming up very soon for Heat 2. There's your finishing results up on screen. Jake Claridge from pole to take the win and the fast lap of the race. Who is going to stop the 95 Tony Kart today here at Bunbury City Kart Club? Straight into racing action. Tag 125 light on track at the moment, and it's a Sawyer brother affair out front as Jake gets the jump on brother Luke to go 1 and 2 from the front row of the grid. They lead out from Ashley Morrissey in the second spot, and I think it's Shane McPherson in the Morrissey in third, McPherson in a P4, and I believe Kieran Ellis lining up P5 as they come across the top end of the track to kick things off. Kip Foster down there in P6 at the end of the opening run. 1 down, 9 to go for 125 light. Sawyer from Sawyer, Morrissey, McPherson, Ellis, Flynn Thompson in 6, McGuire in 7. Kip Foster showing all the way down the order. Not quite right on our timing screens. Don't mind that on the left of your screen if you're joining us from home. The top 3 is correct, top 4 is correct, top 5 is there, but I believe Foster is further up the grid than it shows. Unless we're picking up the wrong orange helmet on track, but there is one only. There is only one Kit Foster. And there is only one of those bright orange Michael Schumacher helmets here in Western Australia. As Foster, the West Australian champ, number 20, chases down Kieran Ellis. Trying to chase him for P6. But it's Jake and Luke Sawyer out front here, the 96 from the 21. Then Ash Morrissey and McPherson, then Ellis in 125 light. Everyone's slotting in behind and just waiting waiting their turn at the moment. Let the tyres come on, try and find your moment as we're 3 down, 7 to go this time down the line. Three laps to go. In tag 125 light, Kip Foster giving old Kieran Ellis a bit of a hurry up. He fires it down the inside of the flat-out karts curve, and Foster jumps up to P5 now. It's Sawyer from Sawyer out front. Ash Morrissey into the third spot. Shane McPherson is the fastest on track right now. A 32.223 for McPherson. As he puts some pressure on Morrissey, who's again pouring the pressure on the back of Luke Sawyer. Bit of a cork in the bottle for these boys at the moment. It's 2 laps to go for his brother Jake, though, down the line and leading things out in tag 125 light. Heat 1 of the weekend here at the Coastal Classic for Bunbury City Kart Club. This time, Jake Sawyer sets a hot lap of the race, trying to open up the gaps. He holds 2.5 tenths of a second over his brother Luke back there in second, who's still under pressure from Morrissey and McPherson. Now Foster coming into a league of his own, trying to put the pressure on these guys to move further up the road. 4 to go on the board as they come down the line. Sawyer getting a big old hassle from Morrissey for the second spot on the road. They've opened up about a kart length over McPherson back there in the 4th spot. Foster is unable to close the gap at the moment. He's another couple of kart lengths further back as they head into the top end. Bit of bump and grind going on, using the elbows out, using those bumpers and rear bumpers, trying to muscle their way around the corners. As Morrissey continues to try and pour the pressure on Sawyer. McPherson's really quick in the opening part of the lap here. Closes right up onto the back in the flat-out curve and then through the middle section, but loses out across the top end of the track as he drops back into the clutches of Foster a little bit. Sawyer just running a bit of a defensive line into the left-hander, trying to hold off Morrissey as they head across the top end. 2 laps to go. Jake Sawyer checking over his shoulder. Luke checks on Morrissey. Just staying in touch at the moment. Kip Foster hanging in there as well, biding his time. With a smaller field here in 125 light, they can choose to not really make the moves that they would desperately need to make in a bigger field. Save your tyres, keep a level head on your shoulders, and keep it together as we come down the line. And I would expect the last lap board, but it's actually the flag. It's a race win from Jake Sawyer. Luke Sawyer in second, Ash Morrissey third, Shane McPherson fourth, and Kip Foster goes P5 with the fastest lap of the race on the last lap of the race. 32.176 from Kip Foster to round out your top 5. Out on track for now, it's KA4 Junior getting ready for the first of their heat races of the weekend. 14 karts joining us here, and Cade Davey was the star of the show in qualifying with almost half a second advantage over Nash Ferraro as they lead the field. Down to turn 1 for the opening lap, Ferraro gets a bit of a hip and shoulder and is going to lose some ground into the flat-out karts curve. Toby Maiolo will go through for second. Ferraro will jump into the third spot here. Looks like Jackson Mitchell-Rosenau into P4 as they scramble for the remaining spots behind. Jet McDonald in a bit of a battle there as well. The 83 Swiss Atlas machine getting the elbows out and fighting for it, but it's Davey. Look at the gap he's put on the field. Davey in a league of his own here today. Coming down to finish lap 1 on Maiolo all the way off the road on the exit of the final corner. He's going to drag race Ferraro down the straight. Jackson Mitchell-Rosenau sneaks through for third, moves over and covers off from Maiolo to put the pressure on. Now Toby back down to the 4 spot. Connor Payne into P5. Behind them it's Zane Rhodes in the Vulcan panel and paint. VPP number 26 machine. He rounds out your sis. Jet McDonald behind him in the 7 spot from Cooper Lyle. Now Rhodes up the inside of Payne. It was a late move. He goes deep under brakes, runs wide, has to move over and grab it again. Payne tells him how he feels with a bit of a hip and shoulder and a bump coming down onto the straight. Bit of hand signals going on as they come down the straight as well. Zane Rhodes telling Payne how he feels about that one as they have a discussion ongoing. Maiolo back up to the 3 spot now from Jackson Mitchell-Rosenau in the 88 machine. As they've allowed your race leaders to open up the gaps. Cade Davey is absolutely clearing out early. This kid's on fire today from Nash Ferraro in the 2nd spot. And a big gap back to Maiolo in 3rd. Now Zane Rhodes up to the 4 spot. Pushing Maiolo forward from 3rd to 5th to 3rd again. Having a good run here is young Toby. As Zane gives him a bit of a hurry up, Jackson Mitchell Rosenau dropping off now down to P5. Connor Payne in the 6th spot. From McDonald and Lyle, 7 and 8 just behind them as they come into the middle section. And the double left-hand, as you can see there. McDonald and Cooper Lyle, 7th and 8th. Tommy Horn and Lachlan Clee rounding out your top 10 from Mason Walczak, George Pearce, Noah Lineker and Blake Carboni rounding out your 14 kart field for KA4 Junior. Running at championship weight this weekend at Bunbury City Kart Club for the 2021 Coastal Classic. As Kay Davey continues to demolish the field. Last time across, a 36.8 for Davey. It was a 37.4 for Ferraro. He's 3.1 seconds clear up the road as Rhodes puts the pressure on Jackson Mitchell Rosenau. They're going side by side and slotting back in. Great battle for 4th, 5th and 6th here. Rhodes, Young Jackson, Connor Payne, now Jet McDonald and Cooper Lyle buying into this fight as well. Payne looking at the inside of Jackson at the final corner. That's going to slow him down. He checks over his shoulder because here comes Jet McDonald. But Jackson pulls out to try and make a run. And Connor, but couldn't quite get close enough. And they run a very famed defensive line into the flat-out curve. Cooper Lyle up the inside of McDonald. He's going to counter back in the second of the left-handers. That slows both of them down. They're going to lose some ground as Lyle back up the inside of the right-hander again. Making a run for these guys. Look at the gap they've given away to Jackson. In the space of 3 corners, they went from being on his bumper to about 6 kart lengths behind. As Kay Davey down the line and clearing out. Nash Ferraro with a massive gap in the second. Toby Maiolo, another massive gap in the third. This fight for 4th and 5th. Zane Rhodes and Connor Payne having a great discussion about it through the double left-handers. Jackson Mitchell Rosenau in the 6th spot from Lyle in 7, McDonald in 8. And a bit further back to Horn and Clee, 9 and 10. As these guys come out of the top end of the racetrack, Kay Davey clicks off another lap from Nash Ferraro in the BRM kart, number 16 machine in 2nd. Toby Maiolo down the line in the 3rd spot. We're watching the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. We pick up your race leader, Kay Davey, the number 75 Weet-Bix Arrow chassis leading the way. Maybe that was the secret formula for the weekend. Couple of extra Weet-Bix at breakfast, and Davey, look at the gap. That's the gap back to Ferraro in 2nd as, someone has lost a wheel. The 76 of Lachlan Clee has lost a wheel through the middle of the circuit. We caught that with good timing. Down the line with 2 to go. That time across, Kay Davey leading this one out by a massive margin. He's out 4.5 seconds clear of Nash Ferraro right now. He was half a second clear in qualifying. Something that is almost unheard of here in WA, being that far clear of the rest of the field, no matter what class you run. As the last lap board comes out, 1 to go. For Kay Davey with the fastest lap of the race. There's no surprise there. 36.494. Last lap by was a 36.7. Ferraro with a 37.1. But the fight's still going on. Now Jackson Mitchell Rosenau wants a piece of Zane Rhodes for P5. As we watch this battle, Rhodes back to the inside through the second and the left-handers. They're going to go side by side on the run out. As Davey comes up on some lap traffic. Would be thinking twice about making a move that's going to cost him too much, but the checkered flag will fly. Kay Davey in a dominant performance to win Heat 1 of KA4 Junior. Nash Ferraro home in 2nd. Toby Maiolo in 3rd. Connor Payne in P4, and it was Zane Rhodes in a last lap battle to claim P5 from Cooper Lyle in 6. Jackson Mitchell Rosenau in 7. Jen McDonald 8. Tommy Horn in 9. Mason Walczak in 10. From George Pearce, Noah Lineker, Lachlan Clee, and Blake Carboni, both not finishing the race here in KA4 Junior Heat 1. Tag 125 Restricted Masters on track and getting ready for their 10-lap heat race. Shane Ratcliffe was the man to beat earlier in the day. The 85 CRG chassis will get pipped at the post as he runs down the line. Timmy Barnes from the outside front row slots into the race lead to kick things off. And for those of you joining us live at home, thanks to 4-Star Media and the West Australian KZ series, our one-man band, Mr. Colin Balshaw, is going to take himself a bit of a rest. So you will be joined with a bit of a locked-off shot for a little while as we get ready for KA2 coming out very soon. And the next of the KZ2 races, B versus C, coming out in a couple of races' time. If you're watching intently at home, now would be prime time to go grab a beverage, take a bathroom break, and get ready for some of the awesome gearbox action and KA2 racing coming at you from Bunbury City Kart Club for the Coastal Classic in a couple of races. Stick around, we got some awesome racing to come all day long as we head into the darkness tonight to race under lights for the third round of the West Australian KZ Series and KA2 Championship. making their way around the final lap of 125 Restricted Masters. Timmy Barnes might have got the jump at the start, but Shane Ratcliffe is going to hang on and will take the win in Heat 1 of 125 Restricted Masters. Barnes chases him to the line for second. Peter Ten Brooker home in third. Matthew Fink home in P4. And it's the 25 in the 4. And Craig Ryan will go P5. Simon May in P6. Paul Battier P7. And we lost Ricky Golter and Ian Shaw from contention. That was Heat 1 of 125 Restricted Masters here at Bunbury City Kart Club as we're winding our way towards the end of Heat 1 for the Coastal Classic. Seems like mere hours ago we started practice at 7:30 this morning. Just about to cross over 12:30 in the afternoon here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Running down towards the end of Heat 1 for the Coastal Classic. Big thanks to our sponsors for the Bunbury City Kart Club's Coastal Classic for 2021. Big thanks to Worthy Parts, Full of Beans Coffee, Custom Engineering, Super Cool Air Conditioning, T&N Sheet Metal, Flat Out Carts, NAS Equipment for getting on board with the Coastal Classic. And also a big thank you to our live streaming sponsors for the West Australian KZ Series. Thanks to patriciacourse.com, BRM Karts and OJG Engineering, bringing you all the action live online. Thanks to 4-Style Media for the third round of the West Australian KZ2 Series and the West Australian KA2 Kart Series. We'll be back on track in just a moment. We are set with KA2 coming out on track for their first heat of the weekend. This weekend, the third round of the West Australian KA2 Championship. We're going to set to see these youngsters with all the horsepower at their disposal, bringing it out on track. This is your current championship standings coming into round 3 this weekend. Noah Lyle leads the championship by 3 points over Young Webster in second. Another 2 points back to James McCucci-Allen in third at the start of the weekend. Bree Road sits P4 from Alex Stefanovic in P5 over Sebastian Guest, Gabe Belanca, Aiden Deckers, and Robert West, your 9, with Joshua Byrne in P10. Not here this weekend, and will not record himself any points for the third round of the championship as the KA2s get lined up. And I'm noting a very notable absence on the front row. Noah Lyle, who I was expecting to be coming out on the front row of the grid, is at the back of the pack. So something's gone down post-race or post-qualifying here in KA2. And Noah Lyle is going to have some, we'll say, fun in store for himself to try and drive his way through this field if it is true that he starts from the back of the grid. It's a 12-kart field this weekend for the Bunbury City Kart Club's Coastal Classic weekend here in Bunbury, and a beautiful day despite being a bit overcast. Track conditions are premium. We are setting some hot laps, very much quicker than what we set last time we had the KZ series here at the back end of last year at Bunbury City Kart Club. As we get set to go, lights out, we are racing. Webster going to lead the field down into turn 1. It's going to get tight though. There's a Guesty boy off the road at turn 1. He rejoins and is going to fall back through the field. Ah, no. Deckers gets a hip and shoulder, and Guesty goes through the tyre barrier chicane and onto the back straight. He will rejoin, but he goes to the front. There's another kart off the road on the exit of turn 1 here. So the 50 of Dylan Guest out of order as he comes out of the final corner. He's going to try and have to slot in before they get to the start-finish line to avoid a chance of recording a penalty. And he comes back in approximately where he was. He did start on the outside of the front row, as it is Jack Webster was leading the way, but it's James McCucci-Allen out front as we bring him into the top end of the circuit. The number 41 BRM kart of McCucci-Allen trying to build himself a gap here over Webster in second. Stefanovic in the third spot as they bring it out of the final corner and down the line. The Tony kart of Belanca tucking in behind into P4 as they come down past Canteen Corner into the flat-out curves. The 33 of Deckers further behind there in P5. Watching him head across the top end of the track. McCucci-Allen still trying to hang on to this race lead. Webster, Stefanovic, and Belanca all lining up to have a pot shot at him. 3 down, 7 to go. Last time across the line. Four down, 6 to go. Should actually say 5 and 5 by the timing screen if you're watching on MyLab Speed Hive. James McCucci-Allen leads things out from Gabriel Belanca now, showing as second on our timing screens, but it's Alex Stefanovic holding second on the road. Belanca down to the third spot as they head across the top end of the track. It's a flat-out karts machine of Noah Lyle picking his way through the field in quick succession, and he's found himself up into P4. As the board shows 5 laps to go, Lyle has moved his way up the road. So James McCucci-Allen had the benefit of Lyle having a start at the back of the field after he qualified up the order. And McCucci-Allen and the BRM kart is opening up a healthy lead over Alex Stefanovic in second. Belanca third. as they bring it down the line. 4 to go as they come across this time by. Makuchi Allen leads, Stefanovic second, then Belanca and Lyle, then Deckers. Rounding out your top 5. Further back to Jack Webster after qualifying at the pointy end of the field, down there in P6 at the moment. Fastest on track, no surprise, is coming from Noah Lyle at the moment as he tries to chase his way forward, starting from the very, very back of the grid. Down the line, 3 to go. Makuchi Allen has this one practically in the bag as long as he can maintain pace in the closing stages of this race. KA2 Heat 1 of the weekend for the Coastal Classic and the 3rd round of the West Australian KA2 series. Young Alex Stefanovic coming into this weekend, 5th in the championship, will be happy to pick up points for a 2nd place finish here in the opening heat of the weekend. But Lyle is closing the gap to the back of Belanca now as they head across the top end of the track. Two to go on the board here. One by my count as Makuchi Allen continues to hold on to this gap. He holds a 1.1 second advantage over Alex Stefanovic. Belanca's under pressure from Lyle as they head into the top of the track. Lyle finds his way up a spot and puts Belanca down to P4. Noah Lyle from the rear of the field to 3rd as they come down the line. 1 to go for James Makuchi Allen. Leading the way, Alex Stefanovic tucked in there in 2nd. Watching if Noah Lyle can make a run to Alex Stefanovic, but he's going to run out of laps and corners in time to get it done. James Makuchi Allen out of the final corner will run it down the line. Makuchi Allen wins Heat 1 of KA2 here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Alex Stefanovic home in 2nd. Noah Lyle in a stellar drive from rear of field to 3rd. Gabriel Belanca home in P4 with Aiden Deckers rounding out your top 5. That was Heat 1 of KA2 for the West Australian KA2 Championship here at Bunbury City Kart Club. And it goes the way of James Makuchi Allen. Well, we get set to go. This is now kicking on into Heat 2 of racing here at Bunbury City Kart Club for the 2021 Coastal Classic. KA3 Senior Light out on track as the first group out in Heat 2. If you're wondering where the rest of the KZ2 races are, well, they are mixed in the mix as we have an oversubscribed format, so we have extra racing than what we would usually have in a single group format. So we will see them out for the B versus C Heat in a little while as we get underway with KA3 Senior Light. Lights out and racing. Mason Fraser going to lead the field down to turn one. Oh, Jonesy gets into him in the bumper and is going to force the issue up the inside of the flat-out curve. Hey, somebody around there at the curve, and that's going to cause a couple of karts to go flying around the outside. But it's Jones going to lead the way on the opening lap from Fraser in second. Darcy Vanitas having a much better start this time by. She goes to third from Trena Mann in the fourth spot. They finished in the opposite order at the end of Heat 1 a little while earlier today. This time they're right in touch as Jones leads at the end of lap 1 in KA3 Senior Light. Fraser trying to chase him in second as they come down the line. Then Darcy and Trena pushing each other around the circuit, trying to stay in touch with the boys up front. Caitlin Edwards rounding out your top 5. Jono Butterfield in the 6th spot. Riley Westell in the 7. Joel Wheeler in 8. Unfortunately, it looked like it was Jamie Taylor who went around on the opening lap, and she drops down to the back of the pack. Two laps down, 8 to go. Jones leading the way. Fraser drops a wheel on the main straight. Can't hold pace with Jonesy at the moment. Qualified third. Ran second in Heat 1 and leads the way in Heat 2. As Fraser drops back into the clutches of Vanitas and Trena Mann, trying to put the pressure on for second, third, and fourth at the moment. For those of us watching live online, we hope you're enjoying the show. We are just going to a bit of a locked-off shot with KZ2 coming up for the B versus C Heat in a moment's time. Our one-man band, Mr. Colin Balshaw, taking himself a breather. We'll be back with moving camera action for the second of the KZ2 races in just a few moments. Last lap board out to pick up Michael Jones as he comes down the line. Fraser had a hard-fought battle with Darcy Benitez to hold on to second, but he's opened himself up a couple of kart lengths of a lead. From Benitez back up there in the third spot. Trenaman in P4 and Caitlin Edwards in the 5. As we'll bring Michael Jonesy. Jones goes qualified third. Heat 1, he runs second. Goes another step further, and in Heat 2, Jonesy will claim the win for KA3 Senior Light. Mason Fraser home in second. Darcy Benitez in third. Trenaman in P4. Caitlin Edwards rounding out your 5. From Riley Westell in the 6th spot. Joel Wheeler in P7. And 51 of Jono Butterfield in P8. Jamie Taylor rounding out your 9-kart field. That was KA3 Senior Light for Heat 2 of their weekend's racing here at Bunbury City Kart Club. We'll take a moment. We should be expecting KZ2 to come out in a couple of minutes, and things are looking a little bit angsty out on track as we sense a little bit of moisture in the air here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Could really make for an exciting heat race. This is Group B versus Group C for what is effectively Heat 2 of KZ2 this weekend at the 3rd round of the West Australian KZ Series at Bunbury City Kart Club for the 2021 Coastal Classic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, making a liar out of me, we were expecting KZ2 to come on out, but a slight change to the program schedule means that we have Cadet 9s, the youngsters, out on track for their second heat race of the weekend. Connor Mayer, the class of the field at the moment, after qualifying in the pole and leading out a Heat 1 win. We'll set the starting pace and we'll get this field lined up and ready to rock and roll for 10 laps in Heat 2 of Cadet 9s. Getting them racked and stacked and ready to rock and roll. Connor Mayer alongside Diego Stewart on the front row of the grid to send us racing. 10 laps on the board. We are lights out and racing away for Heat 2 of Cadet 9s. Mayer leads Diego down into the flat-outs curve, who looks to the inside. Doesn't make any advantage of it. Looks like Casa Grande fighting it out with young Razzo. They get into each other and they both go around. And they're going to go to the back of the pack. Young Razzo jumping in the seat to get the kart back on track. They're going to rejoin at the back of the pack. That lets 2 more through. And they will lose a couple of spots. But it's Mayer and Stewart out front here. Young Connor and Diego leading the way at the end of lap number 1. Cadet 9's Heat 2 for the weekend here at Bunbury City Kart Club. 1 down, 9 to go. Checkered flag is out with Connor Mayer taking yet another win here in Cadet 9's Heat 2. Diago Stewart hung on valiantly to come home for second. Bocasa Grande showing third on time. The flag will come out and will pick up the 22 of Taj McDonald coming down the line for P5. Isabella Patrizzi home in P6. Bocasa Grande across the line for third. Jaden Razzo running down for P4. Unfortunately, we did lose Jake Ostecki once again here in Heat 2 of Cadet 9s. As we wrap up the youngsters in their second race of the day. It's the Coastal Classic here at Bunbury City Kart Club for 2021. As the moisture continues to linger here at Bunbury City Kart Club, more and more reports coming in of a little bit of moisture in the air. Might make things interesting if it heats up at all, and if it gets any heavier, certainly would put a panic into the fields, especially in KZ. So we are getting set for the second KZ2 Heat coming up in just a moment. This is B versus C coming out on track in just a moment's time. Don't go anywhere if you're watching live online via your mobile device or sitting at home watching us in your living rooms. KZ2 coming up in just a moment. So we are getting set for KZ2. This is B group versus C group. So for reference, the second qualifier and third qualifier, and so on from there, missing the first, fourth, and etc., will race in this one. Sam Dicker will be lining up on the pole spot here alongside Henry Johnston for the first time we see him racing today. Jaden Pierce will line up on 3 alongside Luca Nietzsche on 4 from Ryan Bender and Simon Gwillam on the third row. Tommy Sparks and Caleb Sumich will line up on row 4 from Damo Papa Sergio, and defending series champion Blake Mills starting on row 5. Dan Curry and Bailey Mickler will line up on the 6th row with Tommy Lawton and Dylan Drysdale on row 7. Paul Pedrotti and Josh Merritt will line up on row 8 with Mitch Perella and Melinda Sully on row 9. Jared Bishop and Reese Friend will line up on row 10 with Nathan Jack and Jason Gaykhorst on the 11th row. And lining up at the back, Jess Howe and Tommy Shu on your 12th row to make a 24-kart starting grid for B group versus C group. Getting set to go racing for 15 laps. We've already seen the A versus B group, which was won by Jake Claridge. He will not take part in this one. Sam Dicker was second on the road in the A versus B. We'll start on the pole spot here for B versus C. Our third heat will be the A versus C groups, just to keep it somewhat confusing before we go into an odds and even set of heats to be our last hit out before we hit the final today. Karts getting lined up on the starting grid. It's ready to go the next gear for the West Australian KZ Series here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Dicker and Johnston WA and Victoria lining up on the front row as we get set. The lights are out. Watch the reds to come on. Bit of a creep there, and we are go. Dicker gets away from the front row. Henry's going to slot in behind him in a second, but it's carnage and pandemonium behind as we go 3 wide into the flat-out curve. Plenty of bump and grind through the field, but we all managed to escape at the moment. Defending series champ Blake Mills is right in the thick of it, getting beaten around. As they come back out, it's Dicker leading the way. Henry Johnston into the second spot. Out of the hairpin for the first time. Jaden Pearce right there in P3. Looks like Tommy Sparks in the 4 spot as they come out of the final corner. And down the main straight to finish off lap number 1. Johnston pulls out for a look up the inside of Dicker. He sees him coming from a mile away. Dicker tries the over and under. He's going to have a rear bumper full of Jaden Pearce, so they all slot back in. It's Johnston, Dicker, Pearce, then Sparks behind him. It's Papa Sergio, Gwilliam, Mikla, Mills, Bender, Curry, Sumich, Merritt, Lawton and Pedrotti, your top 15 of 24. Across the top end, the BRM of Henry Johnston, now opening up a gap over Sam Dicker. Bouncing the front end across the track on the exit of the final turn and down the straight past Canteen Corner. They're starting to open up a gap, but the fight is on between William, Papa Sergio and Mikla at the moment. Fighting it over 6th, 7th and 8th on the road. Blake Mills right behind them in P9. Ryan Bender a little bit further back in P10. We're finding this battle as they go bumper to bumper, pushing each other up towards the hairpin. Mikla has a look up the inside, and he gets caught up a little bit. They're going to go side by side on the exit of the hairpin. Bender will hang on to the spot, but Mikla goes for it again. This time he's a bit more aggressive on the move, and Bender's going to lose time. He's going to lose several spots here. And sorry, I stay corrected. That was Damon Papa Sergio losing a big amount of time out of that one. He drops down to P10. Ryan Bender sneaks through and gets past him. Now Papa Sergio under a huge amount of pressure. But we go back to the battle here between Jaden Pearce and it looks like Luca Nietzsche in the mix now for 3rd and 4th. Tommy Sparks behind there in P5. As Henry Johnston leads the way, looks over his shoulder. Dicker is a cork in the bottle at the moment over Pearce and Nietzsche. Pearce goes for a look up the inside, but Dicker covers him off. Sam Dicker trying to make that 72 willpower kart 18 yards wide around Bunbury City Kart Club to prevent a challenge from Jaden Pearce and Luca Nietzsche. He wants to hang on to points. He needs to have a good result if he wants to stay in touch with Jake Claridge in the championship right now. Coming into this round, Claridge was the leader as Nietzsche goes for a big look up the inside of Pearce. Can't get there though. With Dicker sitting 2nd in the points coming here to Bunbury City Kart Club. A loss to Claridge in Heat 1 means Dicker needs to consolidate points while Claridge doesn't contest in this heat race. We go further back. This is a fight between Simon Grillam and Bailey Mikla duking it out. They are fighting over 6th and 7th as Mikla is the fastest man on track right now. Pushing him into the Agreco hairpin and having a crack at it across the top end of the track. The fight's going on further up the field as there's position changes. Jaden Pearce gets past Sam Dicker for 2nd on the road. Dicker pushing him on the exit of turn 1. Now Pearce gives Sambo a bit of his own medicine. Cuts off the inside line and Sam has to slot in between them. He's a meat and a sandwich between the Praga and the Ricardo kart of Pearce and Nietzsche in the fight for 2nd, 3rd and 4th on the road. Further behind them, Tommy Sparks just hanging on at the moment, but he's got a rear bumper full of Simon Gwilliam and Bailey Mikla at the moment. He can't rest easy with Blake Mills a little bit further off the back of that fight, but Henry Johnston, ladies and gentlemen, he is out of town and checking out from this race as we're getting close to crossing the halfway point. The fight for 2nd is well and truly backing up into a 6-kart battle. Pearce leading the head of this battle pack over Dicker, Nietzsche, Sparks, Grilliam and Mikla. None of these guys can rest easy right now. Blake Mills only a little bit further off the back of this fight. He wants to get involved and make a 6-car fight into 7 as they come down the line once again. 7 laps to go. This time Jaden Pearce has opened himself up a bit of a gap over Sam Dicker in 2nd. Sorry, in the 3rd spot. Can't forget about Henry Johnston out front. The number 90 BRM chassis just clearing out here in Heat 2. Will be really interesting to see what his pace is like up against Jake Claridge when we come out for Heat 3 in the A versus C race. coming up in a little while here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Watching the fight, though, as Sam holds on to third. Tommy Sparks getting the elbows out. Up the inside of Luca Nietzsche now. Nietzsche back into the clutches of Bailey Mickler with Simon Gwilym and the defending champ Blake Mills right there in the number 2. Rocking the blue plate for the Ricardo kart. Trying to put some pressure on at the moment. Mickler has a look up the inside of Nietzsche, but doesn't quite draw alongside to make it happen. As they head up towards the hairpin, Mickler wants to have a piece of him at the moment. 5 laps to go as Henry Johnston checks over his shoulder on the rest of the field. He can rest easy with the massive gap that he has to everyone behind. He can save tyres, conserve the rubber, and look after the kart. Sam Dicker has used his tack to hold on to third, with Jaden Pearce having a bit of a buffer now out there in second. But Tommy Sparks wants a piece of Sam for third on the track. As we're watching this closely, Sparksy is closing the gap to the back of Dicker in the Willpower kart. As they head across the top end of the track, this is a great battle. Dicker, Sparks, Nietzsche, Mickler, Gwilym, and Mills. Bender has fallen right off of this one. The same for Papa Sergio. He's in there. Mickler still trying to put the pressure on Luca Nietzsche. Almost generational differences between these two in their age in karting right now. Different stages of the life as Sparksy goes for a move up the inside of Sam Dicker, but he botched it and he lets him go. This time now Sparksy under huge pressure from Nietzsche. He moves over to cover. Nietzsche moves over to follow and try and cover from Mickler. You can't give an inch in this class. Trying to hang on to track position. One spot can mean the difference at the end of the day, and every point is going to count in this championship. So head into the top end of the circuit at the Agreco hairpin. Henry Johnston is making his way down the main straight with 2 laps to go. The number 90 BRM kart. Henry making his trip over from Victoria to race with us once again here in the West Australian KZ Series. Jaden Pearce is having it easy in the closing stages. Now Sam Dicker has decided he's going to burn up some tyres a little bit and try and open up a gap as Bailey Mickler has found his way past Luca Nietzsche for P5. Now Nietzsche back into the clutches of Blake Mills, who's found himself on the other side of Simon Gwilym in the KF kart. Johnston starts his final lap of the race down the line and past Canteen Corner. He's just cruising out there on a Saturday afternoon drive. Jaden Pearce hanging on to second. And the battle for third, fourth, and fifth has started to peter out, but 6, 7, and 8 on the road. Nietzsche, Mills, and Gwilym is still on for young and old. We'll pick up with this one as we catch them coming out of the left-handers. We'll grab your race leader, Henry Johnston, from the front row of the grid. Your second race winner of the day for the third round of the KZ Series. Henry Johnston wins Heat 2 of KZ2 here at Bunbury City Kart Club. Jaden Pearce home in second in a great drive for the youngster in the 18 Praga kart. Sam Dicker had to get the elbows out and force the issue to hang on to third. Tommy Sparks grabs fourth. Bailey Mickler to P5. Luca Nietzsche 6. Blake Mills in 7. From Simon Gwilym, Damon Baba Sergio, and Tommy Shu from the back row of the grid. What a drive from Tommy Shu. The 75 BRM kart from P24 to P10 in 15 laps over Caleb Sumich, Tommy Lawton, Paul Pedrotti, Mitch Perella, and Joshua Merritt rounding out your top 15. Dylan Drysdale was the fastest man on track all the way down in P16 for the number 29 Ricardo kart over Melinda Sully and Jared Bishop making your top 18. Out of 24 for Heat 2, that was B versus C in the West Australian KZ Series. For those of us watching live online, we are going to reset our live stream. So the live video will end in just a moment. You refresh your page a couple of times, we'll have the new live stream up in just a couple of minutes as we bring you all the action thanks to 4-Star Media from Bunbury City Kart Club for the third round of the West Australian KZ2 Series here at the Coastal Classic.